Hi, I'm Kendra Bailey Morris, and welcome to The Heart of the Home. Today we're going to be making one of my favorite recipes. It's a recipe for a BLT deviled egg. And now this is not your average deviled egg. This is a bacon, lettuce, and tomato deviled egg. So I'm taking all of the concept that goes behind a BLT sandwich and stuffing it into a deviled egg. So let's get started. First off, you want to make sure that you have good Virginia farm fresh eggs. So we're going to go ahead and take our egg and we're going to slice them long ways. And basically we're just going to, and that one just came out, we're going to pop out the yolks and put them in a bowl. There you go. Okay, now we're going to add some mayonnaise, and this is about 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise, not a tremendous amount. And I like to add a little Dijon mustard in mine. Totally up to you, but just a little pinch. You could use a yellow mustard, gives it a little bit more of a yellow color. It's more of a southern traditional thing. And the one thing about deviled eggs is you want to make sure that they're creamy and not too thick. So this is where a secret ingredient comes in. And if you're lucky enough to find some of these at the farmer's market, you're going to score really well. These are bread and butter pickles, and these are pickles that I have here that my mother cans, and they're really wonderful. It's a sweet pickle and almost like a syrupy glaze. And I'm going to fish some of these out, and there's a little bit of onion in there. And I'm going to chop these up, maybe 2 or 3. Not a whole lot. You could add more if you want. And I call this recipe a sweet and savory BLT deviled egg, and the sweet is really going to come from these bread and butter pickles. What I like about adding a little sweetness to this is you're going to have that salty bacon, which we're going to chop up in just a minute, and it's going to mix really beautifully and marry nicely with the sweet of these pickles. And before I finish that, I like to add a little bit of the pickle juice. One of my favorite things. And I have my bacon here that's already been cooked. And you want to definitely crumble it, but beyond crumbling it, you want to mince it up pretty finely because we're going to put it in a piping bag. And a lot of times these piping bags have these little tips, and if you have big chunks of bacon in there, it's going to clog up your piping bag. It's not going to come out. So let's go ahead and chop this up. And since I already have some in there, I'm not going to put a ton, but about 3 decent pieces of bacon. You really want it to be about this fine. Okay. So I've got that in there. Next, we want to do a little bit of salt. Not a ton of salt. You always want to be aware that when you're working with ingredients like bacon that are naturally salty, you don't want to add too much additional salt because it'll tend to go overboard, and while you can add more salt if it's not salty enough, if it's oversalted, it's oversalted. There's really not a whole lot you can do. And deviled eggs are kind of a funny thing. People like to make them different ways, so feel free to vary on this. You could put dill pickles in place of it if you don't want the sweet in there. You could add red peppers. You could add all different kinds of things in there. I've seen deviled eggs made a million different ways, from crab meat and caviar to bacon. So this is coming together exactly the way I want it. This is looking good. And this is just a plastic disposable piping bag. Pretty much you can find these in the grocery store, and they work really nicely. If you don't want to buy these with the tips, you can always do the old plastic Ziploc bag method, which is just snip off a little corner. But one thing that you want to always do before you fill them is roll them down. Because if you try and fill them up like this, you'll get your hand in there and it's just going to be a big mess. And then we're going to take our filling. And this is where it comes in real handy to fold this down, because there you have everything in there, and no mess all over your hands. So when you work with piping bags, it's really important to make sure that you are pushing from the top and not pushing from down here, because if you push from down here, it's all going to come back out the top. So one method that I use is just kind of a twist like this, and then I just put some gentle pressure on it. And I'm just going to fill these, and they look really pretty. Here we have our deviled eggs finished. And so in order to make the lettuce and tomato and the full BLT, we're just going to put tomato on each one of these. And these are just grape tomatoes. You could do little cherry tomato halves. You could dice up some tomato, however you want to do it. I'm just going to put them on the platter. You can see they're already really pretty. These are going to disappear. Okay, and here's where our lettuce comes in. And there's different ways you can do this. You could put the lettuce down first, then put your tomato on top. But I kind of found this is kind of just, scattering a little lettuce about just to add a little bit of color. If it falls off while you're eating it, no problem. So there you have it, my sweet and savory BLT deviled eggs, bacon, lettuce, and tomato deviled eggs. For the Heart of the Home, I'm Kendra Bailey Morris. Let's get cooking.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafarmbureau.org.